The first knock came at 3 a.m. September 2. Adrian was sitting in the dark of his rented farmhouse, listening to the creak of the old beams above him when he heard it. A sharp, deliberate knock against the front door. He froze. No one lived within 2 miles. The nearest road was half a mile away. The house had been empty for years before he moved in. He had not told anyone the address. He stood, heart racing, and crossed the living room. He pressed his eye against the peephole. Nothing. Just the silver blur of the moonlit porch. When he unlatched the chain and opened the door a few inches, the night air felt heavy. No one was there. Only the old swing on the porch moving, though the air was still. He closed the door and locked it. The knock came again. This time from the back of the house. September 3. The police found no footprints. The mud outside the farmhouse was untouched. They told him it was probably kids. But there were no kids for miles. The officer's voice carried doubt, and Adrian knew he wasn't believed. That night, he dragged a heavy dresser in front of the door. He stayed awake until morning, staring at the windows, waiting for the knock. It never came. When the sun rose, he saw something carved into the outside of the glass by the kitchen sink. Thin, claw-like letters, "Let me in." September 5. He tried ignoring it. He buried himself in work, drawing curtains across every window. He kept the lights off after sundown. Still, at 3 a.m. the knocks came, not only at the doors now, but at the windows, at the walls, even beneath the floorboards. Slow, rhythmic raps, like something trying to find a way in. That morning he found the wallpaper near his bed peeled back, revealing new words etched into the plaster. "You heard me." He slept in his car after that, parked down the dirt road. But even there, in the middle of the night, something tapped against the windshield. September 7. He drove to the city to stay in a hotel. He thought he was safe. But at 3 a.m. the fire alarm in the room went off. He bolted upright to find smoke filling the room. He grabbed his things and staggered into the hall, only to realize no one else was evacuating. When he looked back into his room, the smoke was gone. The walls were clean. The alarm was silent. On the mirror above the dresser, written in condensation though the air was dry, were the words, "No escape." September 8. Adrian returned to the farmhouse. Something was tethered to that place, he realized, and it had followed him. He had read of such things, spirits clinging like shadows. He locked himself inside, hammering boards over the doors and windows. At 3 a.m., silence. No knocks. He almost allowed himself to breathe. Then he heard something worse. Breathing. From the other side of the wall. He leaned close, pressing his ear against the wood. It was there. Slow, steady breaths, almost mocking his own. When he stepped back, the breathing continued until dawn. September 9. He called the landlord. He demanded to know the truth about the house. After a pause, the landlord admitted something had happened there. The farmhouse belonged to his brother once. His brother's daughter had vanished from her bed one night. Police searched everywhere. Doors locked, windows nailed shut. She was never found. The family abandoned the place. The landlord's voice dropped. Her name was Lily. She was 9 years old. "If you hear knocking, don't open." "That's what they say." Adrian hung up. His hands trembled. That night, as the clock neared 3, he sat at the table, gripping a kitchen knife. When the first knock came, it wasn't at the door. It came from under the table. September 10. He moved the table aside. Nothing. Only the wooden floor. But when he pressed his hand down, he felt it, hollow. Beneath the boards, something shifted. Scratches rose from underneath, carving up splinters. He ran to the door, yanking it open, but the night outside was alive with whispers, a chorus of children's voices calling his name. He slammed the door shut. The floor beneath him buckled. A small hand, gray and boneless, pushed through a crack in the wood. September 12. He fled again. He tried sleeping at a friend's apartment, but he was restless. His friend awoke to find him sitting on the kitchen floor, talking softly to nothing. When asked, Adrian claimed he was listening. "She's under the house," he said. "She says she's cold. She wants me to let her in." His friend called his family. They came to drive him home, but by then Adrian was gone. The apartment door was open, no sign of a struggle. Only faint scratches across the tile, leading to the stairwell. September 14. They searched the farmhouse. The boards Adrian nailed over the windows were torn away from the inside. His belongings were scattered. On the wall above his bed, written in jagged strokes of blood, were the words, "Thank you." The floor in the kitchen had collapsed. When the police pulled the boards aside, they found a narrow tunnel leading into the dirt, dug by hand. At the bottom lay a single object, A small shoe, child-sized, rotted with age. Adrian was never seen again. September 20. The farmhouse sits empty now. Locals whisper about the girl, about the man who vanished. Sometimes at night, drivers passing down the dirt road claim to see a light in the kitchen window. A shadow standing still behind the glass. And if you stop near the house, if you listen closely, you can hear it. The knocking. Always at 3 a.m. November 5th, 1996. He wrote less clearly now. His script staggered across the page, jagged as though his hand resisted. He had not left the house for days. He swore the girl lingered near. The smell of soil filled every room. Damp stains spread across the ceiling. He scraped at one with his fingernail, but it only smeared darker, thick and red like diluted rust. He pressed his ear to the wall. A faint voice murmured. His name. Always his name. November 7th, 1996. He drove again. He told himself he would prove she was real. The road stretched long and empty, lined by twisted trees with bare limbs. His headlights caught her standing in the same spot. Her dress clung, darker now, marked with streaks that looked like mud or dried blood. He kept the doors locked. Still she entered. One blink, and she was inside. Her head turned toward him, neck stiff, cracking with each degree of movement. Her lips parted. She whispered, "Home." He asked where that was. She stared through the windshield as though the world ahead was nothing but void. November 10th, 1996. He could no longer ignore the pattern. Every time she vanished, the seat stayed damp, leaving a dark impression, cold and heavy as if soaked through. The car smelled of ash and stagnant water. He tried to scrub it clean. The fabric stained his hands. He could not wash it off. His skin stayed marked, gray and flaking. November 13th, 1996. He dreamed of the swamp. Thick water bubbled, black with oil and rot. Her pale dress floated on the surface, but her body was below, hair drifting like weeds. He reached to pull her up, but her arms wrapped around his wrists, dragging him down. He woke choking on foul air. He spat black sludge into the sink. It swirled down the drain like ink. November 15th, 1996. He visited the library. Old newspapers confirmed the deputy's story. A girl named Sarah Whitfield had disappeared on prom night. Her parents had begged for answers. The search turned up nothing, but a torn scrap of white fabric caught on a branch near the marsh. Some believed she had run away. Others whispered she had been taken. The date etched into the yellowed paper froze him. October 3rd, 1976. Exactly 20 years before the night he first picked her up. November 18th, 1996. The girl no longer waited only on the road. He glimpsed her reflection in store windows. She stood at the end of aisles in the grocery, hair dripping, eyes empty. No one else reacted. Only him. Once, she passed directly behind the cashier. He shouted. The clerk looked at him blankly, said no one was there. He fled without his change. November 22nd, 1996. He avoided mirrors. Still, her image appeared in glass, in dark puddles after rain, in the polished chrome of his car. She always waited behind him. He covered every reflective surface in his house with cloth. Yet at night he still saw her in his dreams, closer each time. Her whisper grew clearer. You know where. He did not know, but his chest ached with the weight of it. November 25th, 1996. He asked his sister if she remembered Sarah Whitfield. His sister shook her head, said the name meant nothing. He pressed harder. She grew pale, told him to stop digging into things best left buried. She begged him to leave the road alone. He noticed her eyes shift, as though she knew more. He left angry. That night he dreamed again of the swamp. This time her voice came not from the water, but from his sister's throat. November 28th, 1996. The girl appeared in his room. He woke to the sound of dripping water. She stood at the foot of his bed, dress shredded, eyes black. He could not move. His body locked tight, frozen under her stare. She leaned forward, closer, until her breath chilled his face. You brought me back, she whispered. He had no voice to reply. She melted into the floor, leaving damp stains on the carpet. December 2nd, 1996. He drove to the marshland near the road. The trees grew thick, twisted into grotesque shapes. The ground sucked at his boots. He swore he saw the faint glow of headlights half buried in the mud. He pushed forward until the stench forced him back. Still, he heard the sound of metal groaning beneath the water. He fled, but the echo followed him all the way home. December 6th, 1996. He cannot eat. His weight drops. His skin sags loose. Neighbors avoid his gaze. He mutters to himself in public, begging Sarah to leave him. At night, he scratches her name into the walls without memory of doing so. His knuckles bleed. The walls are filled with her name now, layer over layer, until the letters blur. He tries to scrub them away. They remain. December 10th, 1996. He begged the deputy for help. The man stared long, then leaned close. He said Sarah's ghost clung to drivers because none ever brought her home. She had no home. She had no grave. She belonged nowhere. She waited until someone listened. Then she fed. The deputy's eyes shifted, as though recalling something he wished buried. He told him to burn his car. He said if he didn't, the girl would not stop until he joined her in the swamp. December 13th, 1996. He set fire to the car. Flames swallowed the seats, the dashboard, the wheel he had gripped so many nights. Yet through the smoke he saw her sitting in the passenger seat, face calm, eyes locked on his. She did not move as the fire consumed her. He stumbled back. The tires burst. The heat scorched his skin. But when the fire burned out, the car sat whole, untouched, as though no flame had ever licked it. He screamed until his throat tore. December 16th, 1996. The deputy is dead. They found his patrol car sunk half into the marsh. His body never surfaced. Rumor spreads, but no one asks questions. He knows the truth. Sarah has him now. He fears he is next. He cannot sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, he feels cold hands brushing his skin, pulling, dragging. He wakes gasping, water filling his lungs. December 20th, 1996. The walls of his home bleed. Dark water seeps from the corners, pooling on the floor. He slips when he walks. His reflection stares back from the puddles, but Sarah's face overlays his own. His chest tightens. He knows she is merging with him. He cannot hold her back. Her whispers fill his skull until silence no longer exists. December 24th, 1996. On the eve of Christmas, he wrote what may be his last entry. His family called, but he did not answer. He sat alone in the dark, the house thick with damp air. She stood in the corner, silent, eyes never blinking. He asked what she wanted. For the first time, she smiled. Teeth black, lips cracked. She whispered, forever. He dropped the pen. The page stained with water. His handprint remained, but his words dissolved into ink smears. December 27th, 1996. The house no longer feels his. The air stays wet, heavy, and rank like swamp water. He hears footsteps in the hall though he lives alone. Sometimes he sees them, wet prints across the floor, leading to his room. He wipes them away, but they return darker, heavier, as if she grows stronger each night. December 29th, 1996. His sister visited. She stood on the porch, pale with fear when she saw him. She begged him to leave the house, to come stay with her. He refused. She said his eyes looked wrong, like someone else peered through them. She backed away when he stepped closer. He tried to explain, but Sarah stood behind his sister in the reflection of the window. Her black eyes glared through the glass. He shouted, but his sister only heard nonsense and fled. January 1st, 1997. A new year. He feels no change, only deeper weight. Sarah sits at the edge of his bed now. Not in dreams, not in mirrors. He sees her when awake, pale body dripping, hair tangled. She never blinks. She only watches. If he moves, her head turns in sharp jerks to follow him. He cannot escape her gaze. He covers his face, but he still feels her stare burning through the skin. January 3rd, 1997. The town whispers about him. Children cross the street to avoid his house. Neighbors whisper of screams late at night. He remembers nothing of them, yet his throat burns raw in the morning. His nails crack from scratching at the walls. They are covered in words, layer upon layer, always her name, always his name. He does not remember writing them. January 6th, 1997. The marsh calls him in dreams. Dark water swirls with shapes beneath the surface, arms, faces, mouths opening and closing with no breath. Sarah floats above them, dress shredded, body pale, whispering, down. He wakes with mud under his fingernails, damp moss clinging to his clothes. His shoes are caked with swamp filth, though he has no memory of leaving the house. January 9th, 1997. He smashed the mirrors. Glass splintered across the floor, but each shard reflected her face. Hundreds of her, staring, mouths moving though no sound reached him. He swept them into the trash, but even there they shimmered with her eyes. At night he hears them whisper together, a chorus of voices muttering his name, over and over, rising until it shakes the walls. January 12th, 1997. He sought the church. The pastor placed a hand on his shoulder. The pastor's eyes widened, face draining of color, and he pulled back as though burned. He whispered a prayer, voice trembling, then told him never to return. He staggered out, cold wind biting. In the shadow of the church he saw Sarah, veil of black dripping water, watching through the iron fence. He knew no faith could save him. January 15th, 1997. He tried burning the walls, setting flame to the names he carved. The fire spread fast, smoke thick, but in the heart of the flames Sarah's figure walked unharmed, eyes hollow, mouth curling into a smile. When the fire died, the house stood unscathed. Only his skin bore the burns, blistering along his arms. He cannot fight her. He knows it now. January 18th, 1997. He stopped sleeping. Each time he closes his eyes, her face pushes against his, skin cold and slick. Her mouth presses to his ear. She whispers of the water, of the car rusting below, of the bodies swallowed by mud. He feels her words burrow under his skin, twisting through veins. His reflection in the window no longer matches his face. Black water drips from his mouth when he speaks. January 21st, 1997. His sister returned with 2 men. They tried to force him out. He fought them with strength he did not know he had. They fled, leaving him shaking, blood on his hands though he does not know whose. Sarah appeared beside him, hand resting on his shoulder. Her touch burned cold. She whispered, "You are mine." January 24th, 1997. He no longer leaves the house. The windows are covered, but she still comes. The sound of dripping never stops. Pools form on the floor, rising each day, yet the boards never warp. The water stays black, reflective, and in it her face surfaces. She stares up from the pool, waiting for him to join her. January 27th, 1997. Voices follow him now, not just hers. The drowned whisper in unison. They tell him to surrender. They promise peace in the dark water. He hears their gurgling, choking sounds, their laughter beneath the surface. He feels the floor soften beneath him, as if it were only a thin skin stretched over the swamp below. January 30th, 1997. He woke outside, lying on the road where he first met her. His car was gone, though the keys lay in his pocket. The fog pressed thick, suffocating. He rose, unsteady, and saw her standing before him. She reached out a hand. For the first time, he touched her. Her skin felt like ice, brittle and wet. She pulled him close and whispered, "It is time." He woke again in his bed, clothes soaked through, lungs aching with water. February 2nd, 1997. The diary grows harder to read. His words slant, dark stains blurring them. He writes of Sarah sitting at his table, of sharing silence with her. He describes her as though she lives with him now. He says she eats nothing, drinks nothing, but never leaves his side. He calls her his passenger, bound to him until the end. February 5th, 1997. He admits he no longer remembers his own voice. When he speaks, the sound is not his but hers. His reflection mouths her words, not his. He screams, but only her whisper comes out. His body bends forward when she leans. His fingers twitch when hers do. He is becoming her shadow. February 9th, 1997. The final clear entry. He wrote, "I picked her up on a cold, lonely road. She was gone before sunrise, but she never left me. She was never alive. Now neither am I." The ink trails off, smeared as though his hand sank into water mid-sentence.